think if we're successful here, you will play a big role in it. Thank you. All right, the Pima County Sheriff now says it could take months or even years to solve this case and is now complaining about the exhausting investigation. Here with reaction, former Deputy Director of the FBI, Fox News contributor Dan Bongino. I think the year that you spent as the Deputy FBI Director, we talked once or twice about the fact that you worked Saturday and Sunday and all night, and then, got no sleep doing that job. I didn't particularly like that comment. Why would he say we may not find out for a year from now? That bothered me.
Yeah, I'm not sure why you would say that. I mean, it really destroys the morale of the people busting their ass to try to get this perp to say things like that. And Sean, listen, the cooperation here has not been spectacular. I mean, the decision to send this DNA sample to a private lab was just disastrous. I mean, I'm not telling you that this is this never happens. It does happen. The problem is the FBI does not typically accept DNA once the sample's properly processed from private labs. It has to be typically an accredited forensics lab. So what you're looking at now is another delay, as the private lab will likely have to send it back to Arizona to submit it into CODIS. So it was just unnecessary. I don't see what this sheriff, and again, in Monday morning quarterbacking, whatever, we're trying to find an 84-year-old lady, who is the subject of an unspeakable tragedy, it appears at this point. What the hell, man? I mean, just send it to the FBI lab. Why introduce another variable you don't need in this?
We're learning a lot about the FBI's capability. We wouldn't have that doorbell video but for the FBI getting involved. And it's even worse than that, Dan. I have friends at the FBI, and they were very clear to me, although they didn't really want me to talk about it early on when this case broke out, that they were purposely pushing the FBI out of the way. And they felt like, no, we can handle this. Well, they can handle it. They don't have the capability that the FBI does. For example, I would imagine that this helicopter-mounted signal sniffer and their ability to do AI reverse lighting and their ability to work with Google and recover that videotape that has been probably the best piece of evidence, the biggest break we've had, all came from the FBI, didn't it?
Yeah, I really wish that blue fly technology would not have gotten out there. I don't know where that came from. I know a lot of people in the FBI are not happy that got out there, but that should not have gotten out there. That is not the kind of tech you want to expose to the public. But once it's out there, then it's just open season. But here's the difference. Having been a police officer with the NYPD and worked with the FBI and the Secret Service at the federal level, it's not a better or worse thing. I want to be clear. The cops on the street, the homicide investigators on the street who've interviewed 20 or 30 murderers are the best and the best of the best. I'll take them over some of our own agents at times. We have TFOs, task force officers. We have a guy in Miami, he's been down there 38 years. He's works for the Miami PD. The guy's amazing. I'll take him 10 out of 10 times. But when it comes to technical expertise, the FBI has this specialization of labor where that is exactly what those people do, and it's only what they do. You're not out there investigating a robbery one day, like say a deputy or a police officer, and then next day, a missing, and then the next day, another. You're doing one thing. You have FBI specialists who look specifically at CODIS processing, DNA processing. Then you have others in OTD in our lab division, the technical folks. That's all they do. They look at specific things. You have people in our digital enhancement video teams, but that's all they do is enhance digital video. So it's not a better or worse thing at all. It's just a matter of specialization of labor. And that's why it doesn't make any sense that this sheriff out there is not taking advantage of specific taxpayer-funded laboratory technologies that the FBI specializes in. It makes zero sense.
How is it that Harvey Levin, who I've known for many years, many decades, has 4 emails from a guy claiming to know the whereabouts, and he just wants the money to give the information up because he feels he's going to have to go into hiding? That's what he said initially. How is it 4 separate emails with a Bitcoin account attributed to each one, the same account? How come we can't find that person based on that email or the 4 emails now?
Well, we're assuming they have it. I don't want to make that assumption. And there's a couple other assumptions built into this as well. Listen, I live by Occam's razor, right? Keep it simple, stupid. I try not to assume too much. There's a lot of assumptions built in it. There's an assumption that that's connected to the case. It may be, it may not. I don't know that. Maybe this guy is just, playing TMZ. I don't know. Supposedly he has some information that they weren't found elsewhere. I'm not saying that that's the case. Maybe it's not related. Maybe it is. But the FBI is not, at least when I was there, and I know with Cash there now, they're not in the habit of turning down information. If Harvey Levin or TMZ has information and they can get it and pass it off to the FBI, sometimes there's chain of custody issues with things like that when it comes to evidence and other things. But, we're not in the process of turning down tips. They'll take it from anyone. And if the information turns out to, have a spine to it, then great. I mean, no one's interested in credit. Who cares about credit? Let's just find this woman or find the perp and get this thing solved.
What do you make of the sheriff putting out that statement saying, to be clear, the Guthrie family, to include all siblings and spouses, has been cleared as possible suspects in the case. The family has been nothing but cooperative and gracious and are victims in the case. To suggest otherwise is not only wrong, it's cruel. Is it usually the habit of law enforcement? Go ahead.
Yeah, I see a couple different scenarios here. Number one, maybe the family all have airtight alibis. I know they were looked at. I'm sure of. They were looked into. So scenario one, they have airtight alibis. Scenario two, they maybe have an informant. I noticed that some of these people who were detained and some of the vehicles that were looked at and some of the raids that were conducted, again, assuming the obvious, there may be an informant on this who had some information, someone who may have been locked up earlier, so he was able to eliminate the family. There's a couple different scenarios there. Or the third scenario is they have potentially a subject in mind. Was it wise to put that out there at this point in the investigation? I'm not sure, but it's easy for me to say I'm not running the investigation right now. However, that's a pretty bold statement to put out there given the circumstances, unless you had that background information I already talked about. And if that's the case, then he's right. I'm dealing with some variables. I don't know, some unknowns.
Well, 90% of the time, it ends up being somebody related to or close to the individual that's a victim. By the way, great to have you back in the Fox family. Glad that you're back on the airwaves with your podcast. We appreciate your time, Dan Bongino. Thank you. All right, and coming up, the one and only Nancy Grace. She will react to the search for Nancy Guthrie later. Wow, AOC completely embarrasses her.